AI really isn't necessarily something that's going to take over our jobs. It's really just going to enable us to do other things.
Welcome to the / podcast, where we lean into the future of IT by inviting fellow thought leaders, innovators, and problem solvers to slash through its complexity. Today, we're talking to Erica Price. Welcome to the podcast, Erica.
Well, hello there.
Erica Price is a product experience leader with over a decade of experience guiding both Fortune 500 organizations and startups in creating user-centered digital solutions. She's an international speaker on accessibility, UX education, and AI ethics, and a hands-on practitioner exploring how emerging AI tools can be applied in product strategy and design. Again, welcome back, I should say. You've been on the podcast before.
Oh, yes. We talked a lot about chicken the last time.
We did. We talked a lot about chicken.
Surprisingly relevant.
Chicken company.
Oh, yes.
But you don't work for them anymore. You work for a new company. Mm-hmm. Tell us about that.
Oh, yeah. So I started at Caliberty. Fun stuff. I worked at Yum for quite a few years, and Ryan and I had been chatting, and he's like, do you want to come over and do consulting? And I was like, absolutely. Heck yes. That sounds like so much fun. And so, I started my first client on Monday. So that's like underway, and just super excited to be back in like the IC seat and working on all the product fun things, and also just experiencing more diverse teams, which super excited about that.
Well, I mean, I guess congratulations should be in order. I think it was about 6 months ago was kind of the big buzz is that AI is going to just, we won't need product people anymore. So you've lived through that, and you still have a job. So congratulations. That's good. You've survived.
You. I've survived the AI apocalypse.
Yes, you're a survivor. We'll have to get you a t-shirt.
Yes.
There's, they keep saying AI is going to replace all these different jobs. And there's a degree of, it's going to replace parts of our jobs. But, I think the consensus we're kind of landing on, it's not going to replace all these jobs completely. We need the human in the loop. Not quite ready, not yet. There's all sorts of different, stories going on about this. Tell us about, you seem like you got some stuff going on in the AI world. How are things in the product side of the world when it comes to AI?
Yeah, so it's so fun and diverse, and I think it's what a time to be in the tech industry. It's a terrifying time because everyone's like, oh my gosh, our jobs are going to disappear. But honestly, it's just fascinating to see the evolution of how AI is perceived. And I think we're still going through that evolution, and there's still a long way to go. But for me, AI really isn't necessarily something that's going to take over our jobs. It's really just going to enable us to do other things. So everyone's going to have to start upskilling, because a lot of these basic things we're going to have AI do. But even when you ask AI to do these basic things, you still need to babysit it. Like, you still need to give it appropriate context. You need to put effort and energy into it. So a lot of people think, oh, AI, I don't have to do work. And that's the wrong way to think about it. Because you're probably going to have to play an active part in coaching to get a particular output that you're expecting. And if you don't put the energy in, it's not going to be able to give you the energy that you're putting in. So anyway, it's a weird way to saying it. Basically, I think that it's changing the way that we work overall, especially in the product space. So for example, I like to use AI for general project planning and to get a deep dive on a topic that I don't know as well, or I don't have a deep understanding of it. I like to bounce ideas off of it. But for the most part, every single time that I'm creating an artifact using AI, I'm almost always putting in the work beforehand to say, hey, these are my expectations. This is how I want you to output this information. And then I'm also reading everything and making sure that it's all accurate because let's be honest, AI hallucinates
Yes.
very intensely, and we just have to be mindful of that. I like to think of AI as like my calculator, or somebody. I think I might have even said this in the other episode that we did. It's like picking up a power drill to do a woodworking project instead of a screwdriver. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
a tool that enables you to do some things faster, but it doesn't mean you get out of doing work. Still got to do that.
That's going to be the scary thing because I think of like, our modern world with electronics in our face every day, where that instant gratification is just running rampant in our society and our culture. And this AI thing, I worry about, like, there's just going to be all these people that they aren't doing a job at all. They're literally just typing things in AI and copy and pasting it, and that's their output. But I think it'll take a little bit to sniff all of that out. And what's going to happen is, as you were saying, the people who are figuring out how to leverage AI to do their job better, not just spit
Do
out
it.
the garbage that, not just do their job. Because if you're letting AI do your job, eventually somebody's going to figure out, maybe I don't need you. If AI is doing everything for you anyway, maybe we don't need you.
Yeah.
But I
Dude,
think you got to learn how to leverage the tool.
I think about that all the time, especially being a parent and also being addicted to my phone. Just
Mm-hmm.
being not being able to perform long term activities is such a huge problem. And it's like I've even noticed it. I'm ADHD, so I'm already like prone to not doing things for long periods of times. But it's insane how little attention span so many people have now.
Yeah. I mean, my last job, I was in education, higher ed, and specifically, and I was there for about 5 years or so. And just over that time, we started to see the evolution of learning, of like, we had to come up with this idea of micro learning. We can't just sit people down and say, watch this 30-minute video. They're not doing that. Give me 3-minute video and I'll watch that while I'm waiting on the bus or whatever. It's different, right? Our attention spans are just are different. Now, do you find, if you are ADHD, one thing that I've noticed with folks who have ADHD in software engineering is that hyper focus. You can become hyper focused on certain things, and they folks in software engineering, they tend to gravitate towards our field because they, number one, you have to, so it becomes like a superpower almost, right? Do you find that to be the case with you?
1000%. It is something that it's a fleeting experience, the hyper focusing. And it is unpredictable in how to trigger it. But when I do, I can work and do things. Sometimes not always like even the correct thing. Cause that's just like with ADHD. It's just like you
Mm-hmm.
start hyper focusing on one thing, like, oh, all of a sudden it's 5 a.m. and I've been playing, I don't know, The Sims. And I probably shouldn't have been doing that. I should have
Right.
been sleeping instead. But I would say that I can trigger it pretty easily when I'm at work just because it's something that I'm so interested in. I feel very sorry for anyone who's ADHD and who does not like the job that they're
Oh,
at.
it's got to be awful. Yeah.
Because at least I can trigger it by getting into planning mode and like chatting with AI and like having it help me focus on a particular element, or even having AI just like give me like what are the next 3 things that I should focus on in the next 30 minutes so that I could accomplish X task. And so that's a really nice way for me to attempt to like capture my hyper focusing so that way it's just like intentional
Right.
with like the work that I'm doing. Because if I don't have that active, proactive mindset, then I can accidentally be doing something really silly, like reconfiguring all of the story pointing stuff in Jira. Like that's not necessarily needed, but I have definitely done that in the past, and was a nice little wake up call to be like, all right, I can't let my ADHD or my hyper focusing take over because
Yeah. I agree. I can
Yeah.
understand that. Yeah. So, a lot of times right now we talk about like AI doing part of our jobs and taking over certain aspects of our jobs. That's kind of where people talk about that's one of the big things. However, you're in an interesting position, I think. So that I'd love to hear your take on this is like as a product person, and I always get in trouble because I don't know what the right terminology is. People get mad when you say the wrong, like, oh, you're a UX person. People get upset. So I don't know what am I supposed to call you?
A product consultant would be
Product consultant. Okay,
That's
that's
perfect.
simple enough. All right. So as a product consultant, one of the things you're going to be doing in your future is like developing products, designing products that leverage AI as part of how the toolkit of how it develops and delivers an experience to the user. So how has that been? How has that worked for you? How are you educating yourself on kind of that art of the possible? Like that's got to be, it's a whole new world, right? Like,
Yeah, it's exciting, honestly, because you can look at AI as like a UX opportunity and also a product opportunity, and you're going to get varying, like different results. And it's just a fascinating space to be in because no one knows what they're doing. And it's hilarious because people will say, "Oh, I'm an AI expert. I know all this stuff," and I'm like, guys, it's brand new. It's brand spanking new, okay? And just because what you took a certificate class last week does not mean that you have it all packaged up. Because honestly, AI is something that evolves. It's fascinating because the more that we use it, the more that it changes. So it's almost impossible to actually be an expert in AI, at least in my opinion. I guess you could, if you know all the back end stuff, then maybe you could say it in a different way. But anyway, I think that this AI space is just a fascinating time to be alive because we
mm,
are constantly relearning and we're retraining our behaviors and our habits and the way that we work, and we're adapting like in real time. So it's like evolution in real time. So it's going to be really powerful, I think. The people who do really well with adapting to it are probably going to do way better than the folks who are attempting to use it like a crutch, which, to be honest, I definitely use it like a crutch. I am definitely someone who likes to proactively check everything, like I
right.
said earlier. But yeah, it's a crazy time because every single day I use AI in such unique and different ways. And I'll tell my team, like, oh yeah, I used AI to troubleshoot an issue, like some weird, obscure thing, like a TV remote. I didn't know how to do something, so I took a picture of it and sent it to ChatGPT. And I'm like, how do I tell me what button to click? And it actually did pretty well, and I was pretty shocked. But the amount of ways that I use AI changes on a day to day, like, and it's fascinating. Recently, though, I feel like I've gotten into more knowledge base designing almost, as like with ChatGPT in particular, that's an AI that has a memory, quote unquote memory, or information that you can give it. You can add files and say, hey, this is like your source material. This is like my resume and who I am and all of that. And so that's been an interesting challenge. And I don't think anyone has done it really well quite yet, of the management of your knowledge base within your AI, especially in like GPT, because GPT will save memories, and it's hard to be like, no, that don't do that. That's wrong. Like, go and delete it. And to find it is it's kind of wild. But I'm starting to really understand or see like the value in the type of material that you give GPT to utilize. The better quality that is, the more likely it's going to be successful.
Yes, I've the more rich the context is, I think, yeah, you got to get creative with that and make sure that you're providing the right things, because it is funny the sorts of things that it chooses to like latch onto, like the
Mhm.
context pieces is like, oh, you said this one word, so I'm just gonna go down that rabbit hole, and you're like, no,
Yeah.
come back up here with me, no, get out of that rabbit hole, let's do something else, right?
GPT is
Uh,
ADHD.
yeah,
Let's be honest. Maybe
it
that's
does.
why I vibe so well with it was because
Yeah.
I'm like, I
So,
see you.
yeah. I mean, we can go down those rabbit holes together.
Yes.
Now, I have noticed that something that's interesting, and it'll be neat to see where we go from here. But now that people are seeing ChatGPT, there seems to be kind of this emphasis because like it started early on with like chatbots, right? Like everybody's like, oh, I can do a chatbot and it can be smart and do all the cool things for me. We seem to be gravitating towards these TUIs, these textual user interfaces where, well, just have the user type in what they want. It reminds me of that. Did you ever see that Seinfeld when Kramer signed up to be the voice of movie phone? You remember back in the old days, you'd have to call a phone number and say, it would just tell you all the movies. And it was
Yeah.
like, he was like, press 1 for this and then press 2 for that. Why don't you just tell me the movie you want to see? That's kind of we're designing systems where you just type in, here's what I want. Like, oh, I want to transfer money from this account to this account. And it just goes and does it behind the scenes.
Yeah.
From a product perspective, it's almost like really dumbing things down, right? No buttons, no widgets, no whiz bangs. All of that goes away. You just a box and you type in
Yeah.
there and tell me what you want. Is
It's
that what users really want now?
I don't believe so. Like my I don't think so. It's because it's like when computers, the first computer was basically a command line and like it was a text box. Like we're just repeating history. So
Yeah.
we're at the beginning and this is ChatGPT or our AI is a command line that we are just putting into information. But there's a reason why the command line experience it goes away for
Mm-hmm.
like a general consumer who's not as technical. And that's just because I find that like the more options you have, the more flexibility you have, the less focused you can actually be, which is why like Americans, we have analysis paralysis. Like you go down to toothpaste aisle and there's like 500 different brands and you're just like, what do I do? Which one do I select? So I feel like we're running into that issue with chat. And I have thought many times, and I've even like tried to design experiences that almost come like bring back the UI elements, but like do it within the context of chats. I know that when AI first came out, a big thing in the UX community, people were talking about what was it? It was like generative UI. So it would like change as you go. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like all of that momentum just kind of stopped and it was like too hard. So everyone went back to like the chat experience and it works. And that's probably why it hasn't been completely changed. But I feel like the places that do it really well, usually it's like actually AI that's just hidden in the background. And you don't
Mm-hmm.
know that you're actually prompting it, but we're giving you UI elements to interact with it. That way, we're kind of in control of the type of prompts and the context that you might need to get the result that you might want. So I think we're still in that process of how do we start merging together that flexibility with the easiness of just like, give me a button that says connect my Google Calendar. That's all I need. I don't need to write however many characters that is.
Mm-hmm.
Like just do it.
Right.
Because it's very active too. Like it's a very active process of communicating with AI. And it almost makes it harder to do. Like even in my GPTs and even in my Claude, whatever it might be, I have folders with specific instructions to like help me be faster about prompting, so I don't have to keep saying, "Oh, rewrite this" or "rewrite this and don't use any M dashes, please, for the love of all the Lord, like do not move any," which
I don't
does
know how
not
many
work.
times I've said that and it just keeps forgetting.
It does not work. It does not
No,
work.
no,
But
it
I will
doesn't.
put it in there and then continuously remind it until maybe one day it will remember. But I just have no hope that it will. Yeah. Anyway, that's yeah. So that's kind of my perspective, especially of the chat experience. I do believe it's going away as or at least I think my assumption, my hypothesis is that it'll eventually go away. It's just really easy to create right now. Easy is a relative term. Um, like even Slack bots and customer support chats. And like there's a lot of value in having it, but I see actually more use cases in finding ways to use UI to essentially prompt the AI, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Like the thing I think about is like, if you really are going to dumb down your user interface to your experience and just say, oh, you just type in things that you want and we just go do it. Over time, like if I'm thinking about like, apps that I use a lot, like let's say my banking, I use the transfer money, right? If I had to go in every time and type out, I want to transfer money from my checking to my savings at $100, right? Like it's much quicker for me now that I know where that stuff is to go click, click, click and get there, and then having to type out the long pros every time. So I'm thinking, would it maybe an experience? Could it be like, it's great at like teaching me how to use the user interface, like a tutorial, instead of like, I just tell you, oh, I'm looking to do this. Oh, click over here on this. And can do like a guided tour every time and to kind of teach you how to use. Because eventually, if I can just do 3 clicks and transfer the $100 and I'm done, I don't want to type out like garbage and then have to say, oh, you want to transfer from your savings to your checking. No. I said checking to savings, like that, those ambiguities. Like, I don't want to do that. I want to just go through the clicks and do it myself.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think there's like a point of tiredness or like a fatigue that we reach, especially when we're using GPT and we're relying on like our vocabulary to display concepts. And I think that just, it'll eventually get simpler. But to get simpler, we have to be very intentional with like what tasks that we want to automate, because I think there are times where you need to be a bit more ambiguous. You need to like talk through an idea in a very chaotic way to like get an idea out, and then have GPT kind of collect all your information and put it in a nice little summed up version. And then there are times where you need to do like basic things, like, can you just rewrite my email, please? Like, please don't tell me about why you think you did such a good job rewriting my email. Just like give me the email, because now I have to go to the end of the line that I want and copy it all up and not it's just frustrating. It's frustrating. So I think there is this fatigue that comes with chatting in general. Hopefully, I do see that that's going to get a lot more simplified. There's going to be times where you need it, though. There's going to be examples where you're using GPT. Like, I actually use it for support channels. Like, I use it for, how do I work this TV remote? How do I create this automation in Jira? How do I do all these things? I actually use it more like a tutor, where I'm like, can you explain all these concepts in an analogy way that I can understand? So I usually ask, oh, tell me about this concept, like microservices, but explain it in a Figma like analogy in some way. And I find that that's really helpful. It's all about intention when you're using AI. If your intent is to kind of be lazy, then that'll, you're gonna get what you put into it. But I like to use it more as like a coaching opportunity for me. Also, though, whenever it does coach me, I have to like double check and say, go to a real person and touch grass and be like, hey, is this actually correct, or is it just blowing smoke up everything?
Yeah.
Because it definitely does tend to tend to do that. I don't know if I answered your question.
No, I think so. The one thing I couldn't help but think of while you were talking was, we had a conversation on, I think it was the last episode, where we kind of got into this a little bit of a existential crisis here for software engineers. Is like, does clean code even really matter anymore? Does it all the things that we know about, okay, to design code well, it looks like this. The reason you do it those ways is because the audience is a human being. But more and more going in the future, the audience is an artificial intelligence. So do those things matter anymore? Are there any things in your world, in the product world, where you get, this has been beat in your head through college and through your experience and everything, like, don't do this, don't ever do this, where it's like, well, that kind of goes out the window with AI? Is there anything like that?
Oh my gosh, I think there's so many things. so many things, processes. And it's funny because I teach a boot camp, and I'm constantly like saying in the class, I'm like, this is a singular way to do something. This is not the only way to do it. And I think just being upfront is so important, because there are so many times, people can really get lost in those details and think like, oh, like I must follow this agile methodology. I must do it like this, and this, and they're almost acting like a computer. Like beep boop, I need to follow an exact framework. Yes, but the thing is, I feel like all of that, it's just an option for, like, even for me, like design principles, gestalt principles are very much ingrained in, because that's, I went to school for visual communications and have used it pretty frequently. And even those, like, there are exceptions, and even like English language too, like there are exceptions to every rule. And so I do think that most things, especially development and user experience, if it makes sense for the user and it tests well and you're getting like the feedback that you want, then that's fine. It can look like crap. And if it's delivering,
Right.
that's all that matters at the end of the day. So we have to be very like, just understand that we can follow all these like quote unquote rules, but I don't necessarily know if there's anything that's safe.
Right.
Because like, even depending on the project, like I might follow some of the methodologies in agile versus I might follow some of my own methodologies that I've kind of merged together with agile. But it's not, I'm never like someone who's coming in like, this is the exact process. And being rigid, I feel like is just a slippery slope to not doing well, because you're obsessed with like following a certain process. We just have to be open and understanding. Just because it worked in the past does not mean that it will work now, especially now because AI can throw a lot of wrenches
Mm-hmm.
into our things.
Yeah, I've found myself, and you know, as a software engineer through the years, you know, you kind of get used to doing things your way, right? And you might, when you start working on teams, other people write code, and it's not exactly the way you would write it. Now, when I was younger, I struggled with this, and I would rewrite things my way, just because it wasn't my way. But over the years, you learn, okay, it doesn't have to be my way; it can be another way. It still works, right? But now, even I have to take that a step further, because AI was writing things in a way that
It's kind of
this doesn't
crazy.
make, yeah, this doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know why you went with this abstraction. Let's roll with it. So I'm having a hard time. Like I'm trying to be open minded and allow, you know, things to go down a path. I'm just like, this just doesn't feel right. But we're rewriting the rule books, as you said, right? Like
Yeah,
the rules may not apply anymore.
no,
We have to be open to learning new rules and rewriting those rule books as we go right now.
exactly. And I think the like America in general, like our business, from a business perspective, we are so focused on like being risk adverse and taking as little risk as possible to get the biggest bang for our our buck. And I think that's where another instance where we can, just because it worked 10 years ago does not mean it's going to work now. And trying to get companies to step outside of that comfort zone is very challenging, especially when they've had so much success in the
Mm,
past.
sure.
And so that change is like huge. It's huge and it's uncomfortable. No one wants to do it. Everyone is going to be uncomfortable. And we just have to be okay with being uncomfortable. Because I think if you get comfortable, you you kind of just like, you're at the end of the board game. Like
Yeah, you're done.
you're done. Like start a new one.
Yeah.
And so for me, if I'm not growing, even if I've done a project like time and time again, like I'm still looking at it with a fresh pair of eyes. And it's great. I have people in my life who will say, are you referencing in a past experience at this other company? And that why? And that's what's happening. And I'm like, oh, you're right. I do need to take a step back and think about this as if I was a brand new employee.
Okay, well, so that's been great, an exploration of, you know, kind of how AI is impacting product. I think there's going to be more to come, so I'm sure we're going to be getting together again in the near future to talk about it even more, and all these AI topics. Just kind of, you know, 2 weeks later we would have a completely different conversation. So it's crazy, but now we need to transition to our ship it or skip it.
Ship or skip, everybody, we gotta tell us if you ship or skip.
You know, we've it seems like everybody that comes on the podcast, when it comes to software folks, right? Everybody wants to talk about vibe coding. What about vibe designing? Is that a thing?
Oh my gosh, it is 1000% a thing. Anything, just transparently, the word vibe, anything, vibe coding, vibe designing, absolutely gives me the ick.
Gives me the ick.
It
Okay.
does. It just makes me cringe. Vibe designing, uh, it's so funny because it's almost synonymous with vibe coding. I've yet to
Mhm.
find something that like generates a flat image that gives you a semi good looking UI almost always. Like if I'm asking ChatGPT or Claude or Lovable or SoftGen anything, if I ask for a UI based on like some criteria that I have, it will just build it in HTML and CSS. Like, and that's how it conveys the information to me. And maybe it's because I have not found something that does it really well, especially ChatGPT, because the image generation is very sad, I would say. But I would say vibe designing is a good starting point when you're at a roadblock and you're like, I don't know what the best pattern is, or what would it look like if I combined these two different UI patterns? How could that work? And what are the pros and cons to that? So I think there's a place for it, but I've never once used the artifact of vibe designing
Mm.
ever because there's always been something weird and off about it. There's a reason why AI hasn't taken over UX. Like it's really hard to build UIs in a way that is contextual and usable and like that functions well. So I would say for me, I like to use it more ideation, but mostly skipping it for anything after ideation because it's just so unreliable. And maybe that'll change. Maybe that'll come in the future. I hear Claude Code actually does prescribe some nice UI styles. But even then, it's just kind of like development. Like you're going to look, if you ask it to do something, you're going to look at it and immediately spot all the errors. Same thing with design. It's the same shtick.
Does it, does it do a good job of like, um, putting together raw kind of wireframey type of things? Does that even work okay, or is that still not usable yet?
I feel like the wireframes in particular, I have not been successful in getting it. It almost always jumps to like high fidelity, which is hilarious. It's like a junior designer who just like thinks that they have to jump into real life code to do it. Um, yeah, so I feel like it just depends. Also, it, I can do, and maybe I'm thinking about this too, like, because I know I said skip it for all other instances, it's not generating. I guess technically you can consider vibe designing as like high fidelity interactive prototyping,
Hmm.
which in that standpoint, I would say that's important to do because you are building out a realistic example of the thing that you were trying to ideate on. So I would definitely ship that as like a process.
And again, this is one of those like, are we rewriting the rules? Because I know I've heard you mentioned Ryan early. He taught me this the whole like stay ugly as long as possible. Like that's something I learned from him. And but is that necessary? The reason we do that is because it's prohibitive to do all the work to get to that high fidelity state. But if AI can do that with very little input and get you to that more high fidelity, not like complete full working app, but like more high fidelity, and you don't have to stick like with napkin drawings and stick figures and stuff like that, and it can get you to is do we
Good,
rewrite the rule book there? Is it
good.
okay to go high fidelity quickly?
That is an amazing question and a good thing to point out. I actually think it still makes sense to be low fidelity all the way. If and the core reason is because, and this is like a good UX principle, if you're ideating and creating and working with a stakeholder of any kind, and you're saying, "Hey, this is what I'm proposing," giving them a high fidelity uh, image to critique is going to bias your results and it's going
Hmm.
to make that person who's reviewing and giving you feedback focused on things that maybe don't matter as much. So I still think like even if I were to go into Gen AI and like get it to create a prototype so that I can show my client, I would still take the time to draw it out in like FigJam and make it look ugly so that they stop focusing. Because like I would get many arguments like, oh, I don't like this color, I wish it was red.
Or I
And
don't like that drop shadow. Like, yeah.
exactly,
So
and they're
they
not.
do that, the bike shedding thing.
Yeah,
Okay. So it's not just about the input that it takes to get to the mock-up and why we stay low fidelity. It's also more about, so you can stay focused on the flow, not
yes,
the aesthetics. Is that
because
okay?
it's so easy to get into the UI. It is like, and that's why it's so hard for even just in general our industry to understand that UX and UI, they aren't a singular thing. They can
Right.
be separate things. They are separate separate things, but it's just so easy to be like, oh, I'm comfortable with UI. I don't know what feedback to give you, so I'm just going to say the first thing that pops into my head. I wish that drop shadow was pink, like, or something like
Yeah.
that.
Right.
And it truly is just a way. It's all about like the audience too. Like if I were to give a wireframe like a high fidelity prototype, I might, more for like demonstration, never for feedback, is
Mm.
when I would do that. But that's why I think wireframing is so important, even if you start in high fidelity, because there are times where I've had to like just start in it because I was like getting used to the design language and I'm trying to understand what components I have access to. But I always go back to wireframing, because then that also focuses me on not being just a layout designer, like as someone who can really go deep into the flow. And it's like it's something that I need to do for myself as well. So for stakeholders and for me, I need wireframes to put myself in the right frame of mind.
Nice. That's cool. What about? I know one of the struggles from my perspective as a developer when working with designers or anyone who's coming from working closely with the customer on what the experience needs to be, and then we arrive at high fidelity mockups, and then we need to really make that into code. That people just dump like, here's the design document, here's your pages of like, oh, here's the colors, here's the this, here's the your drop shadow has to be 2 pixels down and to the right, those sort of things. Like making that a reality that is, that's always been like, oh well, I'll just snap my fingers and that comes to be. I think there's been some headway in the
Mm-hmm.
LLM world and with those sort of things around tools like Figma and Claude. What do you think there is? Are
Yeah.
we at a point where designers can design things and then just press a button, zippity doodah, and now we've got a component library? Is that working? Is it? I don't know. Tell
I
me, where
think
are we at there? Is that a
it
ship it or
is
skip it?
1000% ship it, because it is. I feel like it is on the rise. Like MCPs, which I had no idea what that was before I got into AI, but like essentially you can hook in and provide like inside of your, essentially inside of Figma, you as a designer will provide context to Figma to say, hey, this is what I want my UIs to look like. And I feel like the biggest issue going from Figma to code is that there's this huge loss of information. There's not
Mm-hmm.
a lot of understanding of like how your layers are structured, because oftentimes we're using our layers and our auto layouts and our groups of content to describe like relationships between items, which is often really challenging to just think about. Is like, oh, because this thing is closer to this one, that means that they're related, which isn't, it's not always cut and dry. So having an MCP or a way to like hook in and get into the file of your Figma file will give AI like a little bit more of a higher chance to, one, know what components are being used, to know what colors are being used based on the information, and even look at like your structure of your layout. There's been so many times where a developer has come to me and it's like, I don't know how to build this in this like very specific way. And I'm like, I'm not saying this is the right way, but in my layers inside of Figma, I have similar constraints, not the exact constraints. But this is how I was able to make it work and still make it responsive and flexible and all that fun stuff. And that usually creates an idea for them to be like, okay, I think I know what I need to try now. And it almost always works out. So I would say it's getting better and better. I don't think there will ever be a time, maybe not, who knows. I don't think there'll be a time where you can go like Figma and then just like click to make it work, because there's so much that goes on in the back end that like could make it really buggy or really icky. Like the interactions are kind of borked for whatever reason. So I think there's always going to be some translation and some like auditing that must happen, but I do think it's becoming easier, and delivering that context of these are my intentions with my design into code is get like that gap is closing, even to the point where I know people who start in like Cursor and that's how they design. Like they wireframe and they build inside of code. That's how they're able to essentially validate ideas quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really exciting. Like I am so stoked to be able to have that power of like, yeah, let me just like open up VS Code and let me just pull in all of my components that I have in my head, and it'll be quick enough for me to move things around. Because and the reality is like Figma, it's just an easier way to move things around and it's faster. So if we can do that in code, like that would be sweet to work with the real life components.
See, we had that a long time ago. Like
Oh,
we had Visual Basic, we had Visual, all these things where everybody was draggy, droppy, clicky, and then everybody was like, "This doesn't work." It's it's coming full circle again.
it is. We are a creature of habit, humanity. Like I think AI is like I think we're talking more about philosophy. Like if you were to think about a guy in the, I don't know, 1800s, like they're probably going to go to college and they're going to talk about philosophy and what it means to be a human. I feel like we're just back at that mode where we're just like back to philosophical rediscovering because our situation has changed. But for us, it's just in technology, which is it's really fun and fascinating. And I don't understand how a lot of people can say, "Oh, we're not going to hire junior devs," just because that seems like AI. I don't think AI could do all of that, but maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? Who knows? But that's just kind of, yeah, my hot take on all of that.
Okay, so you're a ship it on the kind of
Yes,
Claude
definitely.
Figma connector type thing. Yeah, all right,
Oh,
cool.
yes, there's lots of opportunity there.
All right, so we're done with our ship it or skip it. Now we're moving on to, and you've been on the show before, so you know we have a lightning round.
It's time for the lightning round. Rapid fire, don't slow down. Answer quick and make it count. In this game, there's no way out. It's time for the lightning round.
And as you know, this is the most important part. We can let go of all of the things we've talked about before. That was not important. That was the warm up. This is the meat of the conversation right here. There are right answers. You were aware of this. I don't remember how you did last time. I don't remember you being on the leaderboard. So I'm just, this may be a way for you to,
Jump up there.
yeah, we'll see.
Time will tell.
I'm confident that you will have answers to these.
Love
That's
that
all
for
I'm
me.
confident in. That's it. Yeah.
It's where it stops.
What's your
I'm
favorite
ready for it.
car?
My favorite car?
Yeah,
A Subaru? I don't know.
a Subaru. Okay, that's fair. Favorite? What's your favorite type of muffin? If you're getting a muffin, what are you looking
Cranberries.
for? Cranberry.
Cranberry
That's a.
muffins.
Is that
So
the
good.
orange cranberry? That mixture? Are you big on that? I've heard that
That
mixture.
too. That's
That's
very
good.
tasty.
Okay.
Big fan.
Okay. Can confirm. I do like that one too. What is the maximum number of spritzes of perfume before it's too much?
One.
One. If you go over one, it's too much. Is that's your
Yep.
stance
It's
on the
just
matter?
it's too much. It's too much.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I had now, granted, my daughters do like to wear perfume, or they do this little sprays things, but like, I'm glad I didn't have sons, because with the whole Axe body spray thing, I hear that's a big issue. Like that's a. I'm glad I didn't have that issue.
No, 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 not a fan.
How long can you hold your breath for?
Uh, I don't. 20 seconds? I don't know.
20
That
seconds.
Is that high? I don't know.
I have no idea. Do you Instagram your food?
I do not. I actually do. Like, I still have an Instagram, but I definitely got off of it like 4 years ago. I used to, though. That was very fun.
Like the camera's got to eat first kind of thing?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Phone has to eat first. Is that
Oh,
what
yes,
the
for sure.
kids say these days?
I did that, but definitely don't do it anymore. Now I just take it on my phone.
If you were given the opportunity to fly into space, given today's technology, would you take it?
No.
We would have also accepted yes.
I don't want to be sucked out of in a vacuum. Nope.
Yeah.
The risk is too high.
I would do that more than I would do I've always been very claustrophobic. And I think space, okay, yeah, that's one thing of being claustrophobic. But like that whole like submarine thing where they went down under the ocean and just like, you ain't never get me in a submarine like that. And that is not happening.
Nope. I'm definitely not on the bandwagon. Everyone else who's like, take me to Mars, I'll be like, see ya, never.
I would do that before I would get in a submarine, though. Like, I've seen Matt Damon figured it out. Like, you just have to grow potatoes in your own stuff. Like, you can figure it out on Mars. Didn't seem like it was going to be that big of a deal.
Too scary.
What's your favorite clothing brand?
Pop Flex.
Pop Flex.
Yes. It's a small activewear. I think she's on Instagram thing. Very nice. It's very nice. Lovely, great material.
What is wind?
Wind.
We've never had this question on the podcast before, so this is interesting.
Ooh. Wind is, I don't even know. It's air? Is that a cop-out answer? Wind?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know the definition of what wind is myself, I guess. I don't know how I would describe it if I were.
Is it air in motion?
Air in motion? That sounds...
The absence of staleness? I don't know.
Oh, you went the other way with it. Yeah, it's the opposite of not having wind.
I don't know. Reach and grasp me for straws. I have no idea.
That's fair. Well, we did have one that, how do you feel about cranberries is a question, but you've already heard that you like cranberries.
I'm a big fan of cranberries. Yeah. The dried cranberries.
What is the sound you would make if you were freezing cold?
Silence?
When you're cold, you just stand there and make no noise?
Maybe I do a little bit of like a little.
It's too bad this isn't a video podcast.
Oh yeah, because I had a full on shiver. I don't know what
great.
I would do if I was cold. Maybe I don't think I'd naturally chatter like a lot of people chatter with their teeth.
Yeah,
I can't do that. That freaks me out.
So your like when you're in a pool, do your lips turn like blue like when kids do? You know how they do that?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, you're ready to get out, buddy.
I'm usually out way before that.
Yeah, when you're all like pruny and stuff.
Yes.
When you fly on a plane, do you wear a neck pillow?
I do not. I always forget about it. I feel like I don't think I've ever flown with a neck pillow, but I've always wanted to. And I always have this want to buy it, but I'm like, I'm never going to use it again and it will just disappear in my house. So I would say no, not out of not wanting to.
I've seen people use them different ways. You know, that people get creative with these neck pillows. Like one person had it where they didn't put it like behind them or into the lay to the side. They put the pillow under their chin so that their head didn't go down down to their chest. They just, they could fall asleep with the pillow right there.
Dang. See, I cannot sleep. I cannot sleep in anything that's not a bed.
Yeah.
I was like that horrible child that just never slept in cars or in outside spaces unless I was just awake. So,
all right, and finally, this is for all the marbles. This is the last question of the lightning round. When was the last time you stayed up past 4 a.m?
College.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I'm more likely to wake up at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. just because I just wake up. But I don't do well with long periods of time of wakefulness. Like at midnight, I'm like, all right, guys.
Turn into a pumpkin, huh?
I can't do it. At 8, let's be honest, at 8 p.m. when my kid goes to bed, I'm like inching toward
yeah, like
And my husband's like, let's watch a TV show. And I'm like, okay.
Are you one of my wife's like that? She's like, oh, why don't you watch a show with me? Okay, let's sit down on the couch and like show turns on. I'm getting into the show 5 minutes. I turn around and look at her. She's asleep.
I just sleep. So I can't sleep. I think I've only done it a few times, but I just can't. I can't sleep. I just look like a zombie. Like visibly uncomfortable. And my husband has to be like, all right, why don't you just go to bed if you can't like focus on this? And I'm like, that's a good idea. I don't do well with the all-nighters. I feel like I did when I was younger because I could hyper-focus on the Sims content, which was really fun. But it's never intentional. It's always like accidental.
Yeah. Like, it is 5 a.m. I didn't realize that. Yeah. Okay. All right, well, this has been fantastic. Thank you for joining us today on the podcast. It was great conversation. Anything coming up for you? You got any big blog posts you're excited about? Any talks you're giving? Have you written a book? Anything like that?
I would say in the summer. I think it's the summer. We have Ryan and I will be writing another paper. And we will hopefully be presenting as well. I forget where, some fancy country, but that's the only thing I've got going on right now. Nothing too crazy at the moment. Maybe I got to pick up a few things.
No rap singles or anything coming out soon or anything like that.
I wish I was only that cool.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Erica, for joining us today. This has been a pleasure as always.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for letting me be over optimistic about information architecture. Oh my gosh, artificial intelligence, other acronym IA versus AI.
Yes.
Thanks for letting me be super proactive and nerdy about it. I oftentimes feel like I am someone who just is overexcited, so I'm really happy that I didn't get any eye rolls.
None that you could see. I'm just kidding. Well, if you'd like to get in touch with us here at the / drop us a line at the / at Calibrity.com. See you next time.
Bye.
The / podcast is created by Calibrity. Our director is Dylan Courts, producer Ryan Wilson, with editing by Steve Baradelli. Marketing support comes from Taylor Blessing. I'm your host, James Carmen. Thanks for listening.